from the Crypt.
Welcome, friends and fiends, to the Cryptic Podcast. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my good friend Godden. And together, we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. And today, we're not just here to watch and review an episode, Godden. We're here to review an entire season.
I can't believe we went through season 3 already. I can't believe we're already making season 4. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah,
it's so fast.
It's so surreal going through something like this. I am very happy and proud to be part of something that's just keeps on going like this. I'm very excited about continuing the journey, but little checkpoints like this along the way where we stop to think about and review an entire season. It's just these little checkpoints really let you know like how far you've come. Here we are, season 3. Let's do it. Let's go through with some rankings.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Our rankings go like so. We have Crypt Keeper's Masterpiece. That is an episode that really there's not much room for improvement. It really is a masterpiece. We have Essential Viewing. So if you're going through the Crypt Tales from the Crypt show, these are absolutely must-watch episodes. Recommended Viewing. So even if you skip it, at some point you should probably watch it at least once. So maybe this isn't like a rewatchable episode, but it's definitely, you should watch it at least once just to experience it, whether or not you like it. We have Optional Viewing. That's stuff that, it's fine if you skip it. You're not going to miss out on much. If you're interested maybe in the actor or in the theme of the episode, maybe check it out. But otherwise, skipping it might not be that big of a deal. And then the very, very bottom, Avoid. This is something that, unless you're a completionist, unless you're doing something like Godden and I are doing, which is, deliberately going through every single episode, this is going to be the category that you should just kind of steer clear of.
I'm ready to dive in. I can't wait to see what happens with our ratings.
Yeah. I have no idea where this stuff's going to land. I really don't. Oh, by the way, before we dive in, I do want to let you guys know kind of the structure of what we're doing. We're going to be going through each of the episodes. We'll give a very brief recap of the episode. We'll talk about the scores we gave the episode up front, and then we'll decide whether or not our scores need to change. So let's go through that real quick. So for Loved to Death, this is the episode where that creepy guy was living in the apartment. He kind of had a crush on that girl. He just kind of gawked at her mostly, right? He wasn't even like trying to talk to her. He just was like staring at her all the time. And she could not be any less interested in him. And it was the super or the manager who gave him some sort of potion. He gave her the potion. She fell desperately in love with him. And so much so that he was loved to death. Like he he was trying so hard to get away from her, but he couldn't. And he was just so he just couldn't get away from her. So he killed himself. Or did he kill himself or did he die? I forget what happened. How did he die?
Yes, he killed himself to get away. I actually forgot how he died because I remember she falls out the balcony or jumps out, and then that's where her face is all disfigured. Yeah,
that's the part I remember is he's in heaven and she goes, "Oh, Pookums," or whatever she called him, I forget. "I was so distraught when he died that I oh, that's what it was. It was the potion. The guy gave him a potion to give to her, but he ended up drinking it because remember, he gave the potion to her. It was in the dirty glass, and she was like, he should have the clean glass. So she switched it, and he drank it. That's what it was. Okay. So this was a good episode. I liked it. What I was mostly upset about with this episode was the fact that it was a season premiere. I do not think this belonged with the first 3 episodes. So at the time, I gave it a 2. I gave it a 2, and Godden, you gave it a 3. I'm going to go out and say it right now. I judged this way too hard. This is not a 2. This is a little better than a 2. My problem was I just didn't think it was good enough for a season premiere. So I'm actually going to bump this up. Godden, you gave it a 3. I'm going to match your 3. I'm going to bump this up to a 3 as well. Did you want to change yours because you had given it a 3?
Yeah, no. I think 3 was just a solid because it was a premiere, and I was trying to go into the mindset. Well, if this is the first episode of the season, I had to make it like the baseline somehow. So it wasn't too good. It wasn't too bad. I thought 3 was just fair, and so I'm gonna stick with it.
Okay. And where do you think this belongs? I'm thinking it's better than optional viewing. I think it's recommended or above. What do you think?
Oh wow, I actually went lower. I was thinking optional.
Oh wow.
Optional
Okay.
recommended. Yeah, because even I'm okay with skipping it. Like it's not gonna hurt me. It's a pretty simple story. You know, he's just kind of annoying. I guess that's the best thing. He came off as really annoying, and that was like the main point of his character, just stalkerish, clingy. So it was okay. I liked it, but
Okay.
I can do without watching it again. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Now that you mention it, I think you snapped me back to reality. It reminds me too much of the episode from season 2 where they also had a love potion. So we already had an episode with love potion. Maybe this is a bit redundant. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree. You've made a good point. Optional viewing.
Yeah.
If you're interested, if that seems like something that you're interested in, maybe if you're desperate, hey, Valentine's Day, maybe if you're desperate for Valentine's Day and you need something to watch, there's a little Pookums there. This might be a good one. This might be a
Little
good one to watch.
Pookums.
While we're going through these episodes, I also want to point out that I've collected some comments. So these are old comments or comments that I never got a chance to get to that have to do with these particular episodes. Loved to death. Jamirian comes through and says, this episode was meh. He even wrote meh. I didn't like either character. I know Tales from the Crypt often has us sympathize or relate to scumbags, but both were unlikable. Edward was a creep, and Miranda was shallow and self-absorbed. The end was funny, but it couldn't save the rest of the episode. This should have been placed somewhere in the middle of the season. I agree, somewhere in the middle of the season. He gives it 2.5 scripts. All right, next up is Carry on Death. This is the one where he's being pursued by the cop in the desert. He kills the cop, but shortly before the cop dies, the cop handcuffs himself to him. So he's stuck dragging around this dead body for the entirety of almost the entirety of the episode through the desert. Just before he gets to where he's going, he falls, breaks his neck. He can't move, and the vulture that's been following him all throughout the episode eats him alive. I gave it a 5. You gave it a 5. We had a guest on for this one. John was watching the episode with us, and he gave it a 5. Godden, does this stand up to a 5 to you?
Oh yeah, I'd watch it right now. Are you kidding me? It's so fun.
Yeah, I agree. This is a standout, at least essential viewing. Godden, if I may, I suggest this go into a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's hard not to put in a masterpiece. Like, there were so many memorable moments, apart from the dialogue, apart from the little body swap when he's a dummy to like when he's an actual person being handcuffed. Like, there's a lot of just subtle things that made you really like, appreciate the episode. Like, and there's nothing that stands out like, they could have done better. Like, no, it's just through and through solid 5. You know, it's like it's hard.
When it comes to Carry on Death, we do have another comment for this one. The Jamirian comes through and says, this is an amazing episode. Tales from the Crypt at its best. The vulture has the Raven presence about it. I agree. Very death is around the corner, right? Like the just being pursued. I definitely like that aspect of it as well.
I think it deserves to be in the masterpiece because it is such a like. I'm glad we got this as part of the premiere because that first episode was okay, and then straight into like such a great way to start the premiere again.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. A very good turnaround from Love to Death, which was at the very least skippable. Okay. All right. That brings us to The Trap.
I was actually trying to remember what The Trap was. That was...
So The Trap is the one where Lou Paloma. Lou Paloma is that abusive husband.
Oh, yeah. And then it was the insurance fraud claim. That's what they're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. This episode was fun. You know, it started off with Lou Paloma, and he kind of is just like your typical like wife beater kind of stereotype scumbag, and he just needs to find a way to I guess get out of debt, if I remember correctly, and I forgot how they came up with this idea because his brother got involved um at one point because I remember the whole setup of them trying to frame the death, but I actually forgot how they got to that point. But it was fun when they framed the death because they do a lot of makeup work because I think she was really good at being artsy, and then I guess her brother just was just smart in general, so he was assisting on making sure it's legit. And the fact that it was sold by the cop. Oh my god, the cop was the MVP. I forgot about the
Yeah.
cop. He made sure the law was being laid down for sure. He wanted to figure out exactly what happened. And it turns out the trap portion, I guess, was his brother and his wife, decided to have an affair and kind of keep the money, while he thought the original plan was for all three of them to be in like Costa Rica or some island, towards the coast. And
Yeah, he
but
moved somewhere in South America, and he was just like posted
yeah.
up on the beach there, drinking, I guess, margaritas all day, every day.
Oh yeah, and because the waiter was also really funny. He's like another phone call, sir, or like he was just there. He was like his right hand man,
Yeah,
which
he
is
said
really good
another
because
beautiful sunset. Yes.
oh, that's what it was. Yes, I enjoyed him too. Honestly, the side characters, I think about it now, I loved all the characters actually. Like I didn't hate any of them, but yeah, the fact that he realized that he got screwed over, he ends up flying back, finds out that they're kind of together, and he's just like, well, what happened? Like, where's the rest of the money? And how could you guys betray me? And next thing you know, they framed him for killing his past self, and the cop was all over, like, yeah, it was you. There's no way, like Lou Paloma died. You're not Lou Paloma. You're the guy who murdered Lou Paloma.
Yeah.
And it was just such a weird tie-in. Like I didn't expect it to kind of unfold that way, but I'm kind of glad it did because it was just so fun to watch. There's a lot of fun dialogue as well in that one.
Yeah, and it was also directed by Michael J. Fox. Remember,
Oh yeah, and he
Michael
plays the
J.
brother.
Fox was
That
the attorney.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a
yeah,
fun
that's what it
episode. I
was.
had fun with it. It was good, but I don't think it belonged in the top 3. I don't think it belonged in the premiere. So I think it kind of bothered me in that sense. It was a little bit slow. I gave it a 3, and you gave it a 3.5. Do you stand on a 3.5?
Yeah, I mean I know I was a little more excited reminiscing, but I still stand at 3.5 because it was so much better than Love to Death. But it was lacking gore. I think that is a thing that you and I do enjoy from the episodes to really bump up those numbers. But yeah, I'd say this is a strong episode by
Yeah.
itself.
So I gave it a 3. I'm gonna bump it up to a 3.25. I was a little aggressive with these first 3. The first 3 episodes, because of the fact they're all premiere together, I think I just expect more. So when it kind of falls short, I felt like a little robbed. So now that the emotion's out of it, and I can just see it as a normal episode. Yeah, it's a little over 3. It's fine. So where do you think it belongs? I don't think it's going to get, if it does make it to recommended, it's not going to make it to essential. Do you think optional, or do you think recommended?
No, I think recommend it. I would 100% recommend it. It's fun, honestly. And it's a fun little twist, right? And it's like a double twist. The fact that they get in an affair, and then the fact that he gets pinned for his own murder. It's like, yeah, self-inflicted murder. So I like that. It's fun. It's a good watch. I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
We have a comment about the trap. The Jamirian came through and said, I love this episode. The story was predictable but fun, and has this sitcom feel to it, kind of similar to Collection Completed, which is also a lot of fun. He gives it 5 nose jobs. I remember, because he had gotten that nose job.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
All right. Well, that brings us to episode 4 from season 3, which was Abracadaver. So I like this episode a lot. This is the one where the 2 brothers, one of them is a surgeon, the other one's kind of like a researcher, and he's researching this serum that makes it seem like you're dead, or that does kill you, but it keeps your brain alive while you're dead. So you're conscious while you're dead. But he uses it on his brother, and his brother sees the world as if he died. And when he finally comes to and realizes it's a prank, he freaks out has a heart attack and dies, but his brain is still alive. So he's actually alive during his autopsy. I loved this episode. And if I go over to our rankings, yeah, I gave this one a 5. Godden, you gave it a 4.5. I'm going to stand by my 5. I love this episode. It's a lot of fun. Godden, how do you feel about your score of 4.5?
Yeah, I'm also gonna stand by my score. I do enjoy it. I think it was missing a little bit of gore to really bump that last 0.5, which is not like the biggest. Like, what's the word? It's not the biggest factor I would need for it to be a 5, but it's just right there. Like if it just had it, it'd be enough. I agree that this was a lot of fun. The fact that he went to, it was like all voodoo, right? Like it was like that's where he got the serum because he visited like Africa, and then he learned how to do all the bad juju stuff. So it's interesting how there was science and a little bit of like spirituality. Like, oh, it kind of contradicts sometimes in that field. So it was fun.
Yeah, that was a funny scene where you have this really high-tech lab. He opens up this door, and then there's all this voodoo stuff, candles and incense and voodoo dolls and all kinds of stuff all over this platter, a voodoo platter. It was really funny to see all of that. Yeah, I stand by my score as well. Yeah, the 5. You stand by the 4.5. So let's real quick. Do we have any comments on this episode? That was abracadabra. We do. Tiffany Payne comes through. Now, Tiffany, I think this is the very first time I'm reading a comment from you. So welcome aboard, by the way. Tiffany says, I love this episode. Tony Goldwyn is an amazing actor. I agree. And he was also in Ghost. He's one of my favorite characters in Ghost. Mm-hmm. And I don't, for how good I felt he was as an actor, I don't think there's a lot of movies with him in it. I don't remember seeing a lot of them. Anyway, she goes on to say, I will be watching this episode again. That's great, by the way. I really like this community we're building, and it's the fact that we're encouraging people to go back and watch, or the fact that people are being encouraged to go watch episodes again really means a lot to me as well. So that's a lot of fun that we're all kind of revisiting these episodes and getting inspired to go back and watch some of the old ones we haven't seen in a while. So, okay, with that out of the way, abracadabra. Godden, feel free to talk me out of this. I know you scored it a little bit less than I did, but I'm going to go right up here to essential. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's a lot of fun. And I think that people should absolutely, take a moment and watch this episode on their way through this series.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was actually on the fence between recommended and essential because I feel like both ways, if it's essential or recommended, I want someone to watch it. Mm-hmm. But I was actually going to leaving up to you since you got the 5 to get that final say, but I would have definitely fought you on the masterpiece and try to bring you down. So that was the only thing I was going to make sure.
Put it up there. Not quite. We'll put it right
there. No, not quite. Yeah.
Okay. Top billing. So this is the one with, billing, oh gosh, what's his name?
Joe Pesci.
Who?
Joe Pesci?
No, this isn't the Joe Pesci episode. This is the episode with John Lovitz.
Oh,
remember John Lovitz is that actor who wants to play Hamlet, and he ends up not getting the part, so he kills his friend who had the part. And when he finally gets the part, he learns he wasn't auditioning for Hamlet all along. He was auditioning for Yorick's skull, so they had to kill him to take his skull out. That was the twist there. I gave this episode, you know what? I'm going to go out and say it, you guys. I was mean to this episode. I gave this episode a 2.5. Godden, you gave it a 3. Okay, let's start with this. I have to collect my thoughts about how to come clean about this. Godden, you had given it a 3. Do you stand on that, or do you want to make a change?
I do want to make a change because I don't know why I thought it was Joe Pesci. It clearly is John Lovitz. I don't know why I imagined Joe Pesci instead of him. So I'm gonna give it a 3.1 because I feel like that was just uncalled for me to like get that wrong. Because the point was not gonna make a difference in my rating. So I would like to get that little nudge, like, I'm sorry, I did not mean to get the actors confused. That was so bad.
I am gonna up my score. So I'm just going to go out and say it. I really am a big fan of John Lovitz. I think he's one of the best cast in Rat Race, which is another one of my favorite comedies. It's a hilarious movie. I'm a big fan of John Lovett's stand-up. I'm a big fan of whenever he's on a podcast, I always make time to go listen to him on right whatever podcast he happens to come on. He's such a foul-mouthed little prick, and I love it. I just love that about him. He's so funny to me. So when he wasn't that character in this episode, he was a little more. I mean, he did kill somebody. I guess that kind of goes, that you have that, but he just wasn't the John Lovitz I wanted him to be. And I think that kind of sat not quite right with me. Also, it was kind of a rocky start to the season, and I kept waiting for it to pick up. So far, we'd only had Carry On Death and Abracadabra that I thought were great. The rest of the episodes I thought were kind of mediocre. I was kind of disgruntled. And then when I kept waiting, like, oh, top billing, here it comes. Here comes John Lovitz. Here it comes. And then when it was just kind of like, when it wasn't another 5, I was really upset about that. So I don't think it's a 5. I'm not going to bump it up that high. But Godden, I'm going to bring this up to a 3.75. I'm going to give it a big bump from where it was before.
Okay.
Yeah. So top billing, where do you think this belongs? I think at least recommended. I would not be okay with dropping this below recommended. I'd be okay with essential, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I was actually between optional and recommended, because optional if you like John Lovitz, Jesus. So I'd say optional for that, because for me, the whole thing is he plays a bad actor on purpose. So maybe that was like, and he's really good at playing a bad actor. Maybe it was just like his old habits he's just bringing back just so he knew how bad he was back then or something like that. But for me, the cast of Hamlet, like the inmates, that stole the spotlight for me. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed every one of them. So that's why I think it's optional. Because if I recommend it, I was like, yeah, you should watch because John Lovitz is in it. But I don't think he's the one who really, carried it home for me. He's a great actor, don't get me wrong. He plays his role right. I just think his character just wasn't a good character. Like, it was just okay. Like, there wasn't really much about the character itself. So I am between recommended and optional, but I'm more towards optional.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Let me think about that, because I see what you're saying, right? Like if somebody was going through this real quickly and they just wanted like a real quick episodes to watch before they moved on, would I hold their feet to the fire and expect them to watch this episode? Maybe not. Maybe you're right about that. The fact that it's John Lovitz is, if you're a John Lovitz fan, yes, you definitely check this out because it's fun. It's a fun episode, and he's in it. Oh man, see, I'm torn now between recommended and optional. I was thinking between recommended and essential, but now that you kind of, parsed it out for me in that way, I guess we could split the difference and put it in recommended. We'll put it right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Recommended. Yeah.
Next up, Dead Weight. Here we go. Whoopi Goldberg plays a voodoo priestess. Some dude with red hair finds himself somewhere, I think in Haiti, and by the end he's rummaging through some guy's guts, and then he loses his head, and Whoopi Goldberg takes his red hair and head to her village. I don't know. This is a weird episode. The plot didn't make any sense. It was really hard to follow. I didn't enjoy it. It was boring. It felt like it meandered. A lot happened without much happening. And I gave it a half a point, and you gave it a 2.8. Godden, is it still worth a 2.8 to you?
Yeah, because I feel like I don't want to give it less. Like, if anything, a 2.5, but I think 2.8 is still rewarding because there are big names. It's unfortunate that the plot is very lacking because they kill everything else, right? It has a good setting, right? They're like in the backwoods somewhere. It has good practical effects like the chicken, the boar's head, his death with him having like just the head and the face. That was cool. The whole guts with the worms, that was cool. Like there was a lot of moments where it's really like well done and well shot, but because it had such a poor plot, it doesn't keep you interested. Like you only appreciate the artistic value that they went with all the passion there, but if there's no story, like what's the point, right? Like I can't I still don't. Talking about it frustrates me because like what's the point of these big actors and then they have a poor story? It's a waste
Yeah.
of their time, I feel like.
Yeah. It's a vibe episode. This is a vibe episode. You can have this on in the background and not really pay attention to it, but just seeing that voodoo element there gives you the creepy vibe. So I guess they capture that. I'm gonna bump it up to a 1 just to get it out of the less than 1 category. I don't think it's maybe just 1. So yeah, after thinking about it more, I'm gonna bump it up to a 1. Let's see any listener comment. No listener comments on this one. So with that out of the way, well, let's place it. Godden, I'm okay with an avoid. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, unless you're a Whoopi Goldberg fan, or I always forget this actor's name, but the guy who plays the dad of Dexter in the Dexter series. If you enjoy his work, I could say optional, but other than that, it is a skip for me. Like I'm not gonna sit there and wait for like my favorite parts because the story's just dragging. Like I'm gonna watch 5 minutes of it and that's it. Like it's just a skip.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, and I mean, part of me does think that, well, if you like Whoopi Goldberg, you'll check it out. So maybe if you're interested, but you know what?
Yeah.
If you're interested, also applies to avoid. Just know that it's a bad episode.
Yeah.
The fact that Whoopi Goldberg's in it doesn't make it any more interesting. In fact, it almost makes it worse. She's a terrible actress in it too. She didn't do anything. She just kind of sat there with a blank stare on her face constantly and just kind of didn't really emote. She just kind of said things.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen much Whoopi Goldberg, movies or shows that they partake in, but yeah, it didn't really showcase her skills.
All right. Well, next up is The Reluctant Vampire, which was episode 7. This is the one where the vampire, it doesn't want to be a vampire, so he gets a job at a blood bank, and he drinks the blood there. And the manager of the blood bank devises some plan to out him, and then wants to try to get him to get more blood for him. Kind of it's a weird plot, but it's a weird episode. I'm okay with this type of, outlandish stuff. I don't mind. And then, of course, this is also where we had that Van Helsing that was hilarious looking. Then they think the manager is the vampire, and they end up killing him by the end. So, and this is also the one where his love interest, she's always like, "Oh, it's so sexy. It's so ooh." She's always like very just very airy, like a ditzy kind of a character. I liked it. This is kind of a bizarre, weird episode. I liked it. I gave it a 4.5. Godden, you gave it a 4. What do you think? You going to stand on your score?
I think I'll match you. I think I'll give it a 4.5 because it really is just missing the gore, if it needed gore. But the way it was put is like it's perfect. The way it is, like it actually fits that style because I like that Van Helsing was kind of nerdy. I kind of like that he was also kind of nerdy. Like they were both like outcasts, but they're also like kind of big names in this kind of story, so it was fun to kind of inverse like their stereotype in a way. And I mean the fang boners, that's so funny.
Oh, right.
Like what I would never think of that. And I guess the closest thing to the gore we got was when he was jumping on the body, getting the blood into that gallon of water. That tug. But yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it had a lot of elements. It had a lot of elements in a Tales from the Crypt episode that I really enjoy, which is that camp, the silliness, the horror. I liked it all. I liked it. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I'm not giving it a 5. I don't think it deserves a 5, but I'm gonna stick with my 4.5. Where do you think this falls on our little tier over here?
I think without a doubt, essential. I don't think you should pass this up. I think regardless of how you feel about Tales from the Crypt, this is definitely you should watch.
Yeah, I agree. That's where I was thinking about putting it too. It's not a masterpiece. Not a masterpiece whatsoever. Don't get us wrong on that one. But this is so much fun though. You'll definitely enjoy yourself watching this one. All right, and let me see if we have any comments about Reluctant Vampire. By the way, we don't have any comments about Reluctant Vampire. And that's going to bring us to Easel Kill Ya. I like this episode as well. This is a really dark episode. This is the one where he's a painter. He's an uninspired painter, and he finds his inspiration when he accidentally kills the person who lives below him. Remember, he accidentally drops a planter on his head. He goes tumbling over the railing and dies. He takes some pictures, and that inspires him to paint a portrait. He finds a gentleman who buys this morbid art, and now he has a way to fund, right, his life. But he goes on he doesn't really go on a killing spree. He kind of takes advantage of people. Actually, he does go on a killing spree. He killed his manager. Remember the woman,
Oh yeah.
the manager of the apartment complex. He shoved it down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then painted her portrait with her blood. Oh my gosh, that was good. And then, but the twist was he wants to stop doing it. He wants to stop painting death. But when the woman he loves is in a coma and needs medical procedure that nobody can afford, he says, all right, I'll do one more. I'll just do one more. I'll kill one more person and paint and make that money. And the person he kills happens to be the only doctor who can operate on his love interest. So that was the twist on that one. Easel Kill Ya. I gave this a 4. You gave it a 4. We both gave it a 4. Godden, do you stand by that 4?
Yes. I am gonna stand by the 4. I'm trying to think back if there's anything about it that why I can give it higher. But
well, let me tell you what I'm thinking, because I'm gonna change my score.
Okay.
What really strikes me about this episode, there's not much camp. Okay, there's not really anything funny going on, so that's kind of a bummer. However, the mood, the atmosphere, the tone, all of it is really, really good, and it plays with the idea of just being consumed by morbidity, just being consumed by death, and even the person who was buying the art from him was, we had fun going back and forth on the idea of, was he the good guy? Was he a bad guy? Was he neutral? And I was on like, okay, I think he's more neutral because he just wants the art. It's the main character who's going and doing the killing. But then we got some comment feedback and I realized, okay, wait a minute. Maybe this art dealer is a little more nefarious than I was giving him credit for. Because he knew, I think he knew what the artist was going through and what he was what he was willing to do for that art, and he didn't care. So I kind of like that angle as well. So I'm actually going to bump this up. I'm going to go to another 4.5 here for me. I'm going to bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'll bump mine up, not to a 4.5 because I wasn't too sure. Like I don't remember why it got a flat 4, nothing higher. But I think a 4.3 is just a good median to be near to your score.
Sure.
I was also gonna mention because I actually noticed when we put these rankings as well, in each row, we should also put which one's better. Like for the essential viewing, I think is that Reluctant Vampire that's on there?
Yeah.
I think that should be above the Abracadabra.
Really? Oh, I was actually happy with where it was. I really liked Abracadabra. I thought Abracadabra had a more distinguished plot. Or premise,
I'm not gonna fight you on it. It's not it's like by a hair realistically, but yeah. I just want to remember that we are putting that in order because I actually forgot we're supposed to. That's how the order is supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because what's in recommended?
Recommended is the trap followed by top billing.
Oh, that's kind of the same. Okay, I think this is fine so far. Okay. We're good. We'll keep it as is. All
right. That's a good thing to keep in mind. So Easel Kill Ya, 4.5, 4.3. Let me see if there's any listener comments. Iron Sabbath comes through on Easel Kill Ya. He says, my favorite episode of season 3 is Easel Kill Ya. It's a dark episode touching on addiction and how easy it is to spiral out of control. Tim Roth's performance is outstanding. And as someone who loves the twist endings the most about Tales from the Crypt, Easel Kill Ya delivers that in spades. Okay, we have a fan of this episode. So Easel Kill Ya, I think this is at least a recommended, but just for the dark atmosphere, I think it might be. I was going to say essential, but I'm thinking, I don't know. Talk me out of recommended unless you agree, because essential viewing I was thinking about, but now I'm kind of talking myself out of it in my own head. What do you think?
This is gonna be simple. I was gonna put it as essential, the first one, like the top, like it's the best one so far from that list. I think it's the best from the essential list. Yeah, I think it's so well done. The dark and the grittiness and like how macabre and like how both the collector and him were chasing that just the art of death itself. Like, yeah, that's just so surreal. So I think it beats both of those stories by like a
Oh,
mile. So I
okay,
would
okay,
100% put it.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the tone is much darker than
yeah.
most of what we've had so far. Yeah. Remember in season 2, the fitting punishment, we agreed that that tone was much darker than previous episodes. This is kind of that for me. But you're saying right there?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
so happy with that spot. I will fight you if it goes anywhere else.
Okay. All right. Thank you for talking me out of not having it in essential, because I was almost talking myself into keeping it under recommended. Oh, it's a good episode. I
I
like it a
see.
lot.
It's a good episode.
Okay. Next up is Undertaking Pallor. This is the one that I kept calling Undertaking Parlor before we got to it.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this episode? You want to run through this one?
I actually do like this episode. This episode gave me a lot of like Scooby Doo vibes, or even television terror, where like it's some of a mockumentary in a way, and we follow these group of kids who are movie fanatics like us. They like their horror. You know, there was even shots of Predator, and I think Alien was on there, I believe, but for sure the poster was on there for Predator, and they decide to make a movie or a short film, and they get into a morgue, or they break into a morgue, and they're just snooping around, just doing kid stuff for fun. And I enjoy these because they're not kids; they're like closer to teenagers because they're like they're somewhat potty mouth in a way. They're a little rough on the edges, and turns out they start hiding because the mortician comes in, and they start like noticing how he is as a mortician. Like he's just like he's just eating on the job. He doesn't care. It's so like unsanitary, and it's just like it makes you question like, is this guy sane? But as soon as that happened, I think this is the part where they overhear a plan, but I might be skipping a couple scenes between the mortician and someone else. But if not, they eventually leave the morgue, and one of the kids' fathers actually dies, and that's when they go into this whole mystery hunt as to figure out who the murderer is, and it was just based off the alligator shoes, and they were out on the town, looking for clues and answers, and they find out I think it was the pharmacist, I
Yeah.
believe, who had the alligator shoes. So after they figure out who the murderer was, they try and confront him and show that they have evidence that he's the one who killed their dad and all that nonsense. So one of the kids performs a distraction by like I think he threw battery acid or something similar, and the guy starts chasing him. Then they go and sneak back into the morgue to pretty much set up camp and try and get more evidence with their video cameras. And when it turns out, it was after a couple hours or so, the mortician comes down. He goes back to playing with cadavers, eating chips. Oh, he was stuffing the dead bodies with the most random things, like wood chips. You just stuffing with random things that made me think of that the other episode you mentioned earlier. It was fitting punishment. Like it was just another horrible
Right.
mortician just
Ezra.
cutting costs. Ezra, yeah. So, and then one for another, the pharmacist comes down. They're oh, I actually do love this part too because they have a little argument and a little fight. But then the mortician was actually pretty swift because even I was caught off guard. He turns like, "Oh, let me get this for you," and he gets like a hammer or a bat and bashes him over the head. And then that point, he commits another act of murder. But then the kids were like, "Aha! We know it. We found out it's you guys." And then they pushed one of the librarian bodies uh, into him, and he got stabbed with like the little vacuum sucker that takes all the organs and cleans
Oh,
it,
I
so the
forgot
mortician
about
can.
that vacuum, like
Yeah,
the gut sucker. I forgot
yeah.
about that.
And it was nice. I like the twist where like it wasn't the pharmacist. It's back to the mortician being bad, and the kids kind of get their hurrah. Like, "Oh, yes, we did it. We avenged your dad." And actually, maybe I'm getting the ending a little mixed up. How did that end after the mortician
They
dies?
avenge. Yeah, since they got rid of the mortician, and because the mortician and the pharmacist were in cahoots of murdering people and
Yeah,
then making money off of the funeral costs. But when they
that's what it was.
when
Yeah.
they killed the two, the librarian was smiling because they had saved the day. It was kind of
Oh,
a
it just cuts like
a
that. Okay.
hokey ending. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Well,
Yeah.
I had given this a 3.5, and you gave it a 3.7. What do you think? You stand on the 3.7?
Yeah, I stand on it. I like this episode. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand on my 3.5. I don't think it's worth any more or less. So where do you think it falls on here on our tier list?
Um, Funny enough, I was actually gonna put it in essential, but I didn't know because I know it's gonna be towards the bottom, but I don't know if it's actually thinking about it now. I think it'd be last for essential because I think for me when it comes to essential, we want different styles, just different kind of stories or something unique to be thrown into essential. Like, hey, this isn't like another love potion episode we're watching again for the 12th.
Mm-hmm. Right. I see what you're saying. So kind of
Something
have.
more unique. Where like,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is. You know what? It is a very different episode in that it is it's one of the only episodes focused on kids, and
Mhm.
I think it's the only episode so far focused on kids. So yeah, it is. It has a different flair to it that's not typical in a Tales from the Crypt. So I agree with you in essential viewing because if you really want to have a rounded experience, I think you do want to watch episodes like this that are so different in not necessarily theming because it's all death themed, but just
Yeah.
the main characters being kids. I think is a lot of fun and different. So yeah, I agree with you in essential. Where do you think in essential? I don't think it's better than Easel Kill Ya. Do you think it's better than Abracadaver? I don't. I think Abracadaver is
No,
better.
I think it might be the bottom of this list
Okay.
because yeah, the fact that it makes it to essential because it has that uniqueness is more than enough. Because our ratings would, if we were just doing face value, our ratings would say recommended more so than essential.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
it's
think it
pretty
deserves
low.
essential.
Yeah, the average
Yeah,
between the two of us is 3.6, so it's pretty low.
yeah.
But again, yeah, just the fact that it's so different and unique, I think it's definitely worth a watch. Let me see if we had any comments about Undertaking Pallor. I don't think we do. We don't have any comments about Undertaking Pallor. So let's move on to, oh boy, here we go. Morning Mess. My goodness, this episode. So a reporter, so first of all, to set the stage, there is a mass murdering happening, or mass murders are happening of these homeless. A reporter gets a scoop that there's something going on with the cemetery. So he does some investigation, and he ends up learning that by the end, there's this this huge like underground society of ghouls who are killing homeless people, burying them, and then taking their bodies from underground to eat them. Because killing homeless people and eating them on the streets, what ghoul would be caught doing that, right? We got to devise this whole system to bury the victim and then dig them out from beneath to eat them underground. It's so bizarre. It's stupid. It's a stupid story. I was lost while I was watching it. I got to admit though, I only watched the episode a couple of times. It wasn't very good to me. This was another episode that just felt like it just meandered on and on without much happening. I gave it a 0.5 point. Godden, you gave it 2.5. How strong is your 2.5, do you think, on this episode?
I'm gonna keep it at 2.5 because that would be my lowest rating for the season, and I think that fits realistically. It is weird because dead weight. I think the story is lacking, but I think everything else kind of helped it get a higher number. But this thing had everything. I think actually think about it now when you're mentioning it. Maybe they had that complicated underground system set up because if you remember the paintings on the walls, it looked like they were there for like centuries, right? Like they were like in royal outfits. So yeah, why wouldn't they have like this complicated system of making sure like it's hidden, like no one would know? So I think 2.5 is good because I would have bumped it down had I not thought of that realistically, but I'll give that little edge. So I'll stick with 2.5.
I am going to change my score. I was a 0.5 point before. I'm going to bump it up to a 1.5. A 1.5. I do think it's better than Deadweight. I'd rather watch Morning Mess than Deadweight. Morning Mess, even though the plot is stupid, it's a plot. It makes sense, right? It's stupid that they're going through this huge, over-the-top ruse of burying homeless people to eat them underground, right? It's stupid. It's a stupid plot. But that's the plot. right? You get it. What the hell's the
Mhm.
plot in Dead Weight? What is going on in that? I have no idea. So I am going to bump it up, but it's still my lowest of the season, 1.5. And Godden, unless you can smack some sense into me, I'm going to put it right there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well,
Oh, you like Dead Weight more though, didn't you?
you know, oddly enough, I'm the same boat for both of them, but since it has a story and dead weight is just dead weight right now, I think, you know what? I'm not gonna try and overcomplicate what we have going on here. I think this makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually, dead weight should not be above it because it doesn't have a strong plot. There's stuff I liked about it that had a higher rating, but I think this makes the most sense.
No.
Realistically, yeah.
Okay,
So I'm gonna
and
keep it.
that was
Yeah.
Morning Mess, which brings us to Split Second. This is the episode where Brian James plays that crazy, jealous, temperamental man, lumberjack man who marries the floozy waitress. He won't let any of the other men look at her, and she won't have it. She gets bored, so she starts trying to seduce the new lumberjack guy. And when she finally gets him and starts sleeping with him, of course they get caught. He gets beaten blind, and then his coworkers, all of his friends, have him cut through these logs blind, while they have stuffed inside the logs the woman and the Brian James character. I can't remember their names right now, but that's Split Second. A hell of an enjoyable episode. I really like Brian James's performance in this one. He really carried this episode quite a bit. Interesting premise, fun characters, and I enjoyed it. What did I give it? I gave it a 4.6. Godden, you gave it a 5. Do you want to stand by that?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I love this episode.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Let's see if we have any comments about Split Second. Yeah, Split Second. Yakkin' with Jack. I think you're also a first-time commenter, so welcome aboard, Yakkin' with Jack. They write, so I just got done watching the episode. Oh, that's right. So before I read this comment, I have one important thing to announce. The question of the episode for this one was to count the number of chainsaws used in the episode. Because remember, we had laughed that every time there was a transition, there were like chainsaws somewhere in the episode.
Yeah.
A lot of chainsaws.
Yeah.
So we had asked our listeners if you can count the number of chainsaws. So Yakkin' with Jack responds, so I just got done watching the episode and they showed 19 chainsaws plus the Crypt Keeper used one at the very end. So 20 chainsaws altogether, if I'm reading that comment correctly. Yakkin' with Jack goes on to say, love your podcast, with a little heart emoji. Yakkin' with Jack, we love you too. Welcome aboard. Yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. It had a great performance. I don't think it ever got boring. I had a lot of fun moments in it. I don't think it's a masterpiece, Godden, but this is essential. What do you think? Of course you think that. You gave it a 5.
Ken, this might be a radical take in your eyes. I think it's better than Carry On Death, in my eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. I would put it in masterpiece. Oh. And I think it would be better than Carry On. This is by far my favorite episode of the season.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Oh.
It hit everything for me. Just because for me, the first 10 seconds, I was already hooked. A guy comes in threatening her, there's a gun and everything. It wasn't a gun, he was threatening her. And then our main character comes like, leave her alone, and just has a gun next to him. Like, oh, my, wow, we're already straight off the bat. It's kind of like Carry On Death. It starts off with violence. And the way it ends, very, very brutal violence. I enjoyed that ending a lot. Yeah, so. Okay,
so you enjoy it more than Carry On Death.
Yeah.
Do you think it's better than Carry On Death? Because you can enjoy something objectively knowing that it's not quite on par with something else, right? Like,
I think it is slightly better than Carry On, just slightly, because it does have that like grotesque and brutality. Like the only brutal thing about him was he gets eaten alive, realistically, but he chainsaws them in half while they're alive too, and I think it's a slower burn because she witnesses the death of her husband, and then she's gonna go through that. He's just out in he's being scavenged now at this point by
Oh.
vultures, and I think he would die faster than the chainsaw. Realistically,
Wow.
I think his death was faster in my eyes. Yeah. So yeah, I think just by smidge.
Wow. Okay. I don't think it's a
Yeah.
masterpiece.
Aw.
I don't think this is a masterpiece, but the fact that you do not only think it's a masterpiece and better than Carry On Death,
I know.
that's crazy. If
I know.
if we split the difference and put it under masterpiece but behind Carry On Death, is that acceptable?
I can live with that. I can live with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'll take that.
okay, that it does. Okay, I have to use two hands on my mouse to grab and to carry this thing up for the strength to get it into a masterpiece.
Oh my
I do not think
God.
this is a masterpiece, but there you go. This is a joint effort from the Cryptique podcast.
Can I hear as to why you don't think it deserves masterpiece? Like,
Well,
what's the thing
it's a
the
fun
takeaway?
episode. It's a fun episode. I don't think it's a masterpiece though. This is something that I think a Tales from the Crypt fan would, enjoy watching. I think it's essential that you probably should check it out. But to me, a masterpiece is something that kind of transcends Tales from the Crypt. So if somebody who wasn't really a Tales from the Crypt fan, if they're just kind of skimming the surface of just overall good episodes of television, like what would they gravitate to? I think something like Carry On Death is something that is relatable and understandable and would speak to a wider range of people outside of Tales from the Crypt. Split Second to me is a lot of fun for a Tales from the Crypt fan. So that's why I kind of hesitate to put it up in masterpiece. But we're in this together, Godden.
I can see it now. Carry On Death has more artistic value with the shots and everything like that, and then Split Second just has more shock factor. Because I think about it, there wasn't like a lot of artistic things. Like the shots were simple. There wasn't like any gimmicks or anything like that. But with Carry On Death, they use gimmicks to make their story work. Which is nice.
Someone did mention, one of our comments had mentioned that Split Second had a kind of a noir feel to it, and I missed that the first time through. But I agree. I do like the voiceover in there. The voiceover makes it kind of exciting to be to go through the episode. So I do like that about it as well. That's something that I just remembered. All right. Well, that brings us to Deadline, and this is a really interesting episode. This is one that, well, let me just say it. Let me give a real quick a recap before I go on to my thoughts. So this man's a reporter. He's also a drunk. Okay, so he lost his job. He lost his reporting job. He's kind of living month to month in his apartment by basically taking money from his sister every month. And he finally gets an opportunity. No, he meets a girl who she's so great, and she makes him want to change. So he decides to stop drinking. He gets his job back, but under a condition. He has to find a real juicy story, and his boss wants a murder. He tries and tries and tries to find a case or find a story. He can't find one. He wants that drink. The bartender won't let him have that drink. He ends up going to a local restaurant, and the man who runs the place kills his wife. So, of course, he got a story, right? So he's happy he got a story. But when he goes to the back room to call about the story, he notices the woman's still alive, and he actually has to take care of her himself. And it turns out to be that girl that he was interested in the first place. So this is a story. And then, by the way, it ended with that weird straitjacket thing at the very end.
Oh yeah,
a very subdued story. Not very shocking in terms of the end. The ending was a decent shock, but the rest of the episode was I guess pretty. It was a dull episode. Who am I kidding here? It was an episode that a lot of people kind of expected me not to like. People had commented about being surprised that I liked it. I did like it though. I felt the main character's performance was exquisite, and the writing for this character was terrific. It depicted his addiction in such a real way that I was just so impressed by it that I did give the episode a 4, which is probably more than it's worth, but I'm going to stick by my guns with that because the performance was profound to me. And Godden, you gave it a 2.5. What do you think about the 2.5?
I think it's better than Morning Mess, so I'll give it a 2.75. I do like it. I could definitely see what you mean by the whole alcoholism take, and I do notice that. But like I mentioned in the actual episode, right when he pretty much strangles her, I felt like that was the start of Act Two, or like we're gonna get into Act Three. I didn't think that was pretty much gonna be the ending. I was unsatisfied, so
Yeah.
that's why I kind of gave it a lower score.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think you gave it a very fair score. I think I didn't, but I when I think back to this episode, I attach myself to the performance of that main character. I think he did a great job. And um seeing the desperation in his eyes and in his face throughout every bit of the episode hit me. And then what really hit me at the very end, when he was on the phone, and remember he was drinking too. He was drinking that bottle of whiskey that he found right by the phone.
Hmm.
When he was delivering his story to his boss, the determination and the focus on his face, that's where it hit me. Oh, like when he gets what he wants, he's a machine and he's going for it. But when he's not getting what he wants, he's a desperate man who wants a drink. So
Yeah.
all of those pieces really fit together. So that's what I gravitate to when I think of this episode. I realize the gaping plot holes. I realize it's a bizarre, weird. I get all of that. I get it. So people who think I graded this too high, I get where you're coming from. But I'm grading this as a human with lived experiences, and I can relate to the main character. So there you have it. But when it comes, let me see. Now we have a lot of comments for this one, by the way. So this is the episode that most recently released on our actual YouTube channel, because we're filming a couple of weeks in advance. So we have the most comments about this one. Let me run through them real quick. The Jabarian comes through and says, I agree with y'all on the ending. Him being in an institution was so out of place. I disagree in regards to Vicky. Charlie is willing to do anything for the scoop, and having the wife be her amplifies his determination. I think removing her would have dulled it. Oh, because remember we talked about the fact that it didn't necessarily need to be her. Like having her be that same woman was a little bit too much. We had talked about, but he disagrees. Jamirian goes on to give this 3 bowls of chili. Oh, and this is also an episode where I had asked what your fix is. What's your fix? Remember salt, fat, or sugar? And he responded, "Salt is my fix."
Yeah.
So me and Jamirian would be fighting over those Doritos chips. Ghost Crusaders comes through, and they say worst episode of the series thus far. Ghost Crusaders. These are our friends over there at Creeps of the Crypt podcast. So they're also a podcast much similar to Godden and I, where they kind of go back and forth and watch the episodes. So if you enjoy what we're doing, go check them out. There are some great guys. Iron Sabbath comes through on Deadline. He says, very surprised Kenny enjoyed this as much as he did on a rewatch. I'm not saying it's entirely bad, but just surprising knowing what he's usually looking for in an episode. That's true, because I look for the slapstick, the camp, the horror, the twist. I look for all of that, and this episode didn't have all of that. He says, I'm more with Godden's rating on this one. It's just meh. Not as offensive as some of the other ones, but nothing amazing either. Then he goes on to say, I'm a sucker for salty snacks. I know they aren't good for you, but sometimes I can't help munching on potato chips. Definitely a guilty pleasure. Yeah. So potato chips are good too, but I tell you, it's the tortilla chips. It's the Doritos and the chips and dip kind of stuff for me. Joseph Hill also comes through regarding this episode. He says, I almost forgot this episode existed. It's just not that memorable to me. It takes some of the elements from The Man Who Was Death, but the protagonist isn't as interesting. We just had an episode about a desperate reporter, so putting it so close to Morning Mess makes it seem repetitive. That's another really good point. It's similar to The Man Who Was Death in that he is going out and killing other people. Although I think I would more closely relate it to He'll Kill Ya. I think The Man Who Was Death was actually seeking out people who he felt were sinners. In this case, that woman just happened to be there. She just happened to be there to be killed. He says, I'd rate it 1.5 stranglings, which is ironically how many Vicky received. 1 from Charlie and half from Nico.
That's so funny. That's well put.
All right. So we got to rank this thing. So Deadline, you know what? there's a special place in my heart for this episode. I think it was well performed. I still think it's optional, though. What do you think?
I think it's optional. If you want a story about alcoholism, this is definitely a good story to watch. But other than that, you can, it's, it's not, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not,
Yeah.
There's better ones out there.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. In fact, I might even be embarrassed about recommending it to people. If I told people, oh, I love this episode, you should watch it. They'd be like, what? I can like it on my own, right? I can enjoy it on my own without having to have other people also enjoy it. So that's fine for me. I don't mind. All right.
Do you want
we're getting close to the end, Godden. The penultimate episode, Spoiled. This episode was a lot of fun. This was the sexual innuendo of the episode. I'm able.
Oh, yeah.
With the cable. Yeah. So this is the one where her husband's too busy developing some medical breakthrough research kind of stuff. So she starts sleeping with the cable guy. Eventually, when the husband finds out, he performs an operation on them, switching their heads. Very simple. Like I just went through that probably in a couple of sentences. It's a lot of fun, though. The dialogue is hilarious. It's very campy. I like that there's that whole element where she's constantly watching TV and then trying to live her life through what she sees. That kind of part is fun. It's also very meta. They've got the HBO that they refer to. They got the opening to Tales from the Crypt in the episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching it and rewatching it. I gave it a 3.75. Godden, you gave it a 3.8. How do you feel about your score?
Yeah, I like my score. If I think it holds pretty well. I'm trying to think because there was really no like brutal killing. It's more of like a gotcha moment by swapping their bodies. So I think it's a very fair score to give because, yeah, like I said, it's a lot of fun. Honestly, it's such a fun show to watch or episode to watch. Yeah.
No, I had a blast with it. In fact, I'm gonna boost my score. So I had given it a 3.75. I'm bumping it up to a 4. I think it's a 4. I think this is a lot of fun. It's a fun episode to watch. I mean, the gore is minimal. It's mostly at the very end. But like I had touched on before, the idea of having an affair in that close proximity to your spouse, that's horrific as well. It's not blood and guts horrific, but it's just stomach turning horrific. So I enjoyed it. I'm okay with a 4 on this one. Joseph Hill comments. He says, I enjoyed some of the meta moments because the HBO and the Tales from the Crypt on the TV there. Yeah. So where do you think this falls on our tier?
I think it falls under essential because it uses new themes, or not themes, but it used a new style where it was meta, and the fact that there was a soap happening and it was mimicking the soap as much as you can. It had very cheesy lines, like good cheesy lines, not like cringe cheesy. I enjoy this a lot. It stands out from a lot of the other episodes, so I think it definitely deserves an essential spot.
Yeah, I was leaning towards essential as well. I like it a lot. I would definitely highly recommend up to the point of being essential this episode.
Yeah.
So where does it fall in here though? Where does it fall? Better or worse than vibe. Undertaking Pallor?
I was gonna say Undertaking Pallor and Spoiled are, I think, very equal. I can go either way. It can be above or below, but I don't think it goes near Easel Kill Ya, realistically.
I'm definitely going to go above Undertaking Pallor. I think Undertaking Pallor had its fun because of the fact it was a bunch of kids, kind of a unique spin on it. I would rather watch Spoiled again, but I don't know if I'd put it above Reluctant. I did like Reluctant.
I like Reluctant a lot more than I mean, actually, Spoiled and Reluctant are much more similar than Under Pallor. But I guess in terms of ranking, they'd be closer to Under Pallor. But the way it was shot and the directed was closer to that.
Okay, this brings us to Yellow, which was the season finale. So 40-minute episode. The captain not the captain. It's the lieutenant is a coward. He's a coward. He doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to go into battle, and he actually runs away from battle and leaves his men on the field, who all die. And his father happens to be the general, and the father finds him guilty and sentences him to death. Father tells him, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to load blanks in the firing squad's guns. So you just act like you're dead. We'll leave, and then you can go on and leave and do whatever you want. This, of course, was a lie. He basically told his son this lie so his son could look brave in the face of death. And finally, ultimately, when the son is shot dead, the dad gets his vindication that, yes, my son is brave. My son is not yellow. I found this to be a very profound episode about father-son dynamics, and the fact that the backdrop is of war, I felt was also very profound. There's lots of power dynamics in war, and should we be at war? And is this an anti-war episode or a pro? I don't know. You can have that discussion, right? That's all there. So I found it a very meaningful episode, quite frankly, an important episode. I gave it a 5. Godden, you gave it a 4. Do you stand by your score?
I'll give it a 4.5. I do like this episode a lot. I can't say I don't. For the same reason, just before where that half point really could just be anything. It could be maybe make it an hour long. I don't know. I'd watch an extra. Everything was well done from the Crypt Keeper intro to the outro. I love the whole theme. I love the whole. I like the whole war aspect of things. So I was more biased towards it. But who's the bigger coward, the son or the father? Now I say it like that because it got me thinking. He was a coward for not really leading his troops and turning his back during war and getting his men killed, but his dad could not face the truth that his son didn't want to be in the military, not be in the war. The fact that he's willing to lie for that and make sure, see, he is not a coward. He's brave. Because he didn't say goodbye to his son. He knew he was going to kill him, but he didn't even give any kind of final sentiment, hey, yeah, this is the last time we're going to be talking to each other or anything. Nothing at all. He made his son lie to everyone so he can save face about his son. So who really was more of a coward, right? Because at least he showed his colors, but the general hid his colors, right?
Yeah.
So,
and let's not forget, at the very end, the general could not look at his son when he was about to be shot.
Yeah.
So the general could not look at what he had put into motion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that angle of who the bigger coward is, and it's definitely arguable that the general is the coward, and the son, who was in touch with his feelings, who was able to express how he felt, could be seen as being the more brave person. Now, the biggest chink in the armor, I think, the main character's biggest flaw is he did leave his men on the field. He did not blow that whistle to give the heads up. So that's the one thing I hang on to when he gets his comeuppance at the end. That's the one piece that I hang on to that I think, okay, maybe he deserved it. he did abandon his men on the field. So he cost the lives of several men.
Not just any men. One of them from Cutting Cards,
right?
Sergeant
Lance Hendrickson. Yeah,
yeah, I was interested.
Yeah, this is a great episode. Godden, this I think is a masterpiece.
I'm so biased to these kind of not episodes, but these war themes, just period pieces. Yeah, I'd say it's a masterpiece for Tales from the Crypt as well, because not only is it essential because it's they depict war so well. Honestly, they depict it so well. Like I mentioned in the episode, I forgot this was a Tales from the Crypt episode. I was just fully in. Yeah,
and like I had mentioned during our initial review, at the very end, when you get revealed that when the dad looks away and it starts to become apparent that something's going on and that twist starts to reveal itself, you get that musical cue that tells you, oh, this is a Tales from the Crypt episode, and that I feel cheapened the episode. It almost made the episode less worthy of actually what it was going for. I think it lessened the impact for me because it was kind of campy in that moment. And this is a very much not a campy episode. By the way, I do want to mention that this was intended to be not a Tales from the Crypt episode. They were planning this. Season 3 was supposed to be the last Tales from the Crypt season, and they were going to start a new anthology series called Two-Fisted Tales, and it was supposed to be kind of war-themed stories, and this was supposed to be the pilot. This was going to be the first episode. And when Two-Fisted Tales ended up going away, they recycled this episode for Tales from the Crypt. That's why it feels so different. I don't know why I didn't mention that during the episode, during our actual podcast. I just felt like the conversation didn't really go that route, and then I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, this was supposed to be something else that entirely, not even Tales from the Crypt. So yeah, it does make a lot of sense why it didn't feel like a Tales from the Crypt episode. It's something different. That's why. But it ended up being a Tales from the Crypt. I think it's a fine Tales from the Crypt episode. It tells a moral tale like Tales from the Crypt is supposed to do. So, it's not completely out of pocket. It's just a little unusual. Yeah, I think it deserves to be in a masterpiece. It's a very good episode. It's another Zemeckis episode. So Robert Zemeckis directed the All Through the House, which is another one of my favorite episodes. And then he came back to direct this episode. So this episode's in good hands. Great director, great actors, right? A lot of good people involved with this episode. So it turned out to be very good. So where do you think it stands here? Do you think it's better or worse than Split Second?
Well, you kind of know where I stand with Split Second. But honestly, the fact that it's here in Masterpiece, I can go any direction. Because it won't break me at all if it's like above Split Second or above Carry On. I do enjoy this. I think it is a masterpiece. I'll be satisfied with whatever ranking it sets in. Yeah, I'll let you handle that.
just because of the gravity of the episode and just the overall aura of the episode, I do think it's a masterpiece, and I think it's top tier of the top tier masterpieces. It's not my favorite episode in the season, but I think objectively, I think it belongs here, Godden.
That's fine with me. I really like this episode, and it is 40 minutes. It's double the runtime. It should probably get that spot.
Double the runtime, and it didn't feel like it. It really told the story, and the pacing just kept on going. So it did a good job at what it was supposed to do. I'm very impressed with this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any comments about? I don't think there's any comments about Yellow. Oh, there is a comment about Yellow. Iron Sabbath came through and said, he basically said this is among some of the best episodes ever put to television. So I think he shares our sentiment. Not necessarily not just a great Tales from the Crypt episode, a great episode of television in general. So I agree with that sentiment. Yeah, this is it's definitely among some of the heavy hitters that we've seen so far. Okay, so there is something that I want to add into our season rankings, Godden. At the very end of the season, I think it would be fun for each of us to give an honorary 6. So we rank ours out of 5. Wouldn't it be fun if at the end of each season, we gave an honorary 6? So is there an episode that you would give an extra point to bump up to a 6? So I've been thinking about this for a while, so I'll go first and then you can think about yours. Yellow is top tier of top tier, right? I put it there. It's not my favorite episode. Of season 3, I'm going to give my honorary 6 to Carry On Death. I think that episode is so much fun. It's a twist that I just remember so distinctly. It's one of those episodes that when I think back to Tales from the Crypt, the Carry On deaths of the series are the ones that float to the top, the ones that my brain goes to right away and goes, remember that one episode? Remember that one time when that bird ate that guy's face? Like, that's where my mind goes. So I'm giving my honorary 6 to Carry On Death.
I kind of figured it was gonna be Carry On Death. I'm pretty sure that's your only 5, realistically.
No, I gave a 5 to Carry On Death. I'd given a 5 to Abracadabra.
Oh, Abracadabra. You're right.
And oh my gosh, it really. Oh, I only
gave Yellow.
Out 2 5s. No, and I gave a 5 to Yellow.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, can you even guess what my 6 is gonna be? Like, I feel like I was pretty vocal about this. Surprise, guys. Split Second, yeah. It like what Kenny said for Carry On Death. It's what makes him think of Tales from the Crypt. That's the same feeling I get from Split Second. That's the kind of Tales from the Crypt I love. It's just so just brutal. Like that's kind of how I was introduced to Tales from the Crypt. It's that brutality and the fact that it's just simple 20 minutes. So that's gonna be my 6. Yeah. Unfortunately, just to fight you.
Okay, so this is something new that we haven't done before. So should we go to previous seasons and give honorary sixes to the previous seasons as well?
Yeah, let's do a quick rundown. Yeah, why not?
Okay,
I'm
so
sure there are some good contenders.
let's venture back in our brains, shall we, to season 2. So season 2, I'm just going to run through the episodes. We had Dead Right, we had The Switch, Cutting Cards, Till Death, Three's a Crowd. I'll just go through what we gave 5s to. So I gave a 5 to The Switch. I gave a 5 to Cutting Cards. We both gave a 5 to Corman's Calamity. We both gave a 5 to Television Terror. And I gave a 4.9 to The Secret. I couldn't quite get it to a 5. So of those episodes, are there any that you would give an honorary 6 to?
You know, this is actually a really hard roster of these 5s.
Yeah.
But I still think Corman's Calamity is my go-to.
Yeah.
Because it's that or, Television Terror, but Corman for sure. Corman.
Yeah, Corman.
Yeah.
See, I'm split also. Corman's Calamity is on my list, but so is Cutting Cards.
Yeah, that's such a good one too.
I like that one as well. I think I'm gonna go with. Oh, by the way, remember we also noticed Cutting Cards was one of the few episodes that didn't have a death. I did like Cutting Cards.
Yeah.
I like Cutting Cards a lot, but let me think. Hold on, let me really think this through.
It's hard.
I just like the premise of them just chopping off body parts. It's so fun to me.
Yeah,
it's such a fun premise to me. I think but so is Corman's Calamity, being able to draw whatever you want and having it come to life. You know what? That cool. I'm going with the Cutting Cards. I'm gonna go with Cutting Cards. Yeah. I've never seen something like that before, where that's what they play is chop poker and they chop off limbs. That's so much fun to me. And then at the very end, they have no arms or legs and they're playing with their nose.
And they're passing the gum.
So yeah,
okay.
Pass the gum. All right, now let's go back to season 1 to give our honor. This is easy for me, Godden. We both gave a 5 to All Through the House, and I gave a 5 to Dig That Cat. You gave a 4.5 to Collection Completed. I know Collection Completed was your favorite episode. This is obvious. Anybody who's watched this show so far, my honorary 6 is going to All Through the House. Great episode. I love slashers, and that's like the most slasher episode that we've had. So definitely top tier for me. Godden?
You know, I think most case I would give it to All Through the House, but we've already hyped it enough. I think there should be other love in other episodes in the season. And I do like that we have differing 6s. And not that I'm trying to continue that, but I do love Collection Completed. I do want to bump that up to a 6. So that is such a fun episode for me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there we go. Our honorary 6s. So as we watch through season 4, I'll pay more attention to any potential episodes to give an honorary 6 to. So season 4 also, we are planning on doing all 3 episodes in the same day, just like they did in the original airing of the first 3 episodes. So the first 3 episodes are all going to come out on the same day. Now, this is not going to be next week. Godden and I are not going to get this out next week. Godden and I, for 41 weeks, have been recording episodes every single week. We haven't taken a break. So in between seasons, for the first time in Cryptique history, we are taking a break. So we're going to take a few weeks off, collect ourselves, reinvent ourselves, get a massage, go to the sauna. And we're going to come back with all 3 episodes all in one day. Now, this is the amazing part. Remember how last week the season finale was on Friday the 13th?
Yes.
Was that amazing how that worked out?
I love that. It just lines up like that.
Yeah. Guess what we have next month, Godden? Yeah. We have another Friday the 13th.
Oh, do we?
We do. So March 13th,
I was thinking of a holiday.
March 13th is a Friday the 13th. Wouldn't that be great if the season finale of season 3 was on Friday the 13th and the season premiere of season 4 was on Friday the 13th? Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be a nice touch.
Let's do that. So Godden and I are going to take a short break. We're going to take a few weeks off. We will come back with the first 3 episodes of season 4 on Friday the 13th. And anything else you want to say to that?
It'd be fun too if our viewers decided to watch season 4 without us, and they get a little ahead so they can use our review to see if they like it or not, instead of the usual, hey, watch it after our take. But yeah, please keep the engagements, or think of more engagements when we come back, because we'll be waiting for you guys. We'll miss you guys for sure. We enjoyed this a lot. So
yeah. And don't be afraid to keep the comments coming. If you want to go back and recycle through some of the old episodes, watch stuff that you haven't watched in a while, come back and leave a comment. We're still going to be here. We still exist when we're not posting. So we'll still be updating through the comments. If you want to go back and watch episodes you haven't seen in a while, feel free to comment. We'll respond, and then we'll be here on March 13th, which happens to be a Friday the 13th. So we're looking forward to that. If you really miss us that much, there are other places you can find us. I can be found at Too Bad About Kenny on YouTube and on Twitch. I review books and movies on YouTube, and I stream on YouTube and Twitch at Too Bad About Kenny. That's TOO Bad About Kenny, as well as the number 2 Bad About Kenny. Godden, how about you?
Well, they can find me on Twitch, occasionally gaming, at UAPP06, or they can also follow us on our Crypt podcast at Twitter to have further engagement, so we can have much, much more to talk about.
Yeah. All right, everybody. With that, until next time, we here at the Cryptic Podcast for season 3 wish you all sweet nightmares.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?